Thanos' brother reveal. One of the strangest MCU cliffhangers comes from Eternals mid-credits scene, where Marvel casually introduces Thanos' brother and then does nothing with it. On board their ship, Tina, Makari, and Druig are suddenly interrupted by two unexpected visitors. First, Pip the Troll, and then Eros, also known as Starfox, played by Harry Styles. And yeah, that reveal raises a lot of questions. That's freaking Harry Styles in the first place. Eros claims to be the brother of Thanos, which immediately opens up massive lore implications. If Thanos is a Titan with deviant mutation, then what exactly is Eros? Why does he look completely human? And more importantly, what does he know about the Celestials? Because Eros hints that he can help them find the other Eternals and possibly explain their true purpose. This wasn't a small tease. It felt like Marvel setting up a deeper cosmic storyline, one that connects the Eternals, Deviants, and even Thanos himself. But since that moment, nothing. It's not even a topic in the recent theories for Avengers Doomsday. It's like the MCU introduced a character tied directly to its biggest villain and then just left him floating in space. Celestials will judge Earth. Eternals ends with what should have been a huge MCU moment, but the Marvel has barely touched it since. After stopping Tiamut's emergence, humanity is saved but not without consequences. Arishem the Judge suddenly appears in Earth's orbit, a celestial so massive he literally blocks out the sky. And instead of thanking the Eternals, he abducts Cersei, Kingo, and Phastos. His reason, judgment. Arishem reveals that he will review their memories to determine if humanity is worth sparing, and promises to return for final judgment. And that's the twist, that Earth is now on trial. The problem is, this should have affected everything. A giant celestial appearing in the sky isn't a small event. It's on the level of Thanos, to be honest. Yet outside of Tiamut's frozen body briefly showing up later, the MCU has gone completely silent. No Avengers response and basically no global panic. And that's what makes this unresolved plot twist so strange. It's not just a loose end, it's a ticking cosmic deadline that the MCU hasn't acknowledged. Right now, Earth's fate is literally in the hands of a celestial, and probably no one on Earth even know it. Venom's vacation in the MCU. Spider-Man No Way Home didn't just bring back old villains. It quietly set up a crossover that still hasn't paid off. After being pulled into the MCU during Venom Let There Be Carnage's post-credits scene, Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock ends up doing absolutely nothing in the main story. Instead, he's stuck at a bar. There, Venom learns about this new universe, Thanos, the Avengers, everything. But before anything meaningful can happen, Doctor Strange's spell sends them back to their original universe. Then right before they disappear, a small piece of the symbiote is left behind on the counter. And that's the real twist. That single drop means the MCU now has its own version of the symbiote, completely separate from Hardy's Venom. A perfect setup for Spider-Man's Black Suit storyline. But since then, nothing. No mention in other projects, no hint in the recent Spider-Man trailer either. There's still a chance this pays off in the next Spider-Man film, especially with a fresh direction under a new director. You can check my recent video I made for Spider-Man Brand New Day for that. But even when I dissected the trailer, there's more chance that Peter will be an actual mutant in the end instead of merging with Venom. Sharon Carter is the power broker. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier ends with a twist that completely flips a familiar MCU character and then just leaves it hanging. Sharon Carter, once a loyal ally of Steve Rogers, is revealed to be the mysterious power broker, the one pulling the strings behind Madripoor's criminal empire. After years on the run, she didn't just survive, she adapted. But the real twist comes after. By the end of the series, Sharon is pardoned and reinstated by the US government. And in the post-credits scene, she's already making calls, hinting that she now has access to classified weapons, government secrets, and experimental tech, meaning she didn't lose. She actually won. And now she's in the most dangerous position possible, a villain operating inside the system. This clearly felt like setup. The obvious direction was Armor Wars, a story centered around stolen Stark tech and black market weapons. Sharon being the power broker fits perfectly into that. But here's the problem. Armor Wars has been stuck in development limbo for years. And since then, no mention of Sharon or anything. So right now, one of the MCU's most grounded villains is out there, fully embedded in the government. And nobody's doing anything about it. I mean, not even a hint on the recent Captain America movie, so I wonder what happened. Rhodey as a Skrull. Secret Invasion tried to deliver one of the MCU's biggest shock reveals, but it might might have created more problems than payoff. During the series, it's revealed that James Rhodes, Tony Stark's closest ally, has been replaced by a Skrull. And not just recently, the show heavily implies he may have been swapped out years ago, possibly as far back as Captain America Civil War. So that changes everything. If true, then Rhodey wasn't present for major MCU events, Infinity War, Endgame, even Tony's death, which means one of the most emotional relationships in the franchise might not have been real. But here's where it falls apart. The show never confirms when the switch happened. It just leaves hints, creating a massive timeline inconsistency with no clear answer. And after all that build-up, the real Rhodey is rescued in the finale. And that's it. Not even a reaction to everything he missed. This was clearly meant to lead into Armor Wars, where Rhodey would deal with stolen Stark tech and possibly his own identity crisis. But with that project stuck in limbo, this twist feels completely unresolved. Right now, one of the MCU's oldest heroes was replaced for years, and the franchise hasn't even acknowledged the consequences. Hercules reveal. Thor Love and Thunder ends up with a setup that feels huge, but the MCU hasn't moved on it at all. After Thor seemingly kills Zeus during their chaotic encounter, it looks like the Greek god is out of the picture. But in the post-credits scene, Zeus is revealed to be very much alive and furious. Blaming Thor for making gods look weak, Zeus decides to send his son, Hercules. And not just any version. This is a comic-accurate powerhouse Hercules introduced as a direct rival to Thor. That's the twist. Marvel just set up a god versus god conflict, Norse versus Greek mythology, with two of the strongest characters in the MCU. It's the kind of matchup that should feel like an event. But since that reveal, nothing, not even a hint that this conflict is building towards something bigger. And the timing makes it worse. With the multiverse saga nearing its end and Thor's future in the MCU uncertain beyond the next Avengers films, the window to pay this off is shrinking fast. I mean, would they prioritize Hercules to be in Avengers Doomsday? That would be such a waste of time, right? Because right now, Hercules has been sent to hunt Thor, and we haven't seen a single step of that journey. Moon Knight's third identity. Moon Knight starts off as a story about identity. Two men trapped in one body, forced to share control. Mark Spector, the hardened mercenary, Stephen Grant, the soft-spoken museum worker, and over the course of the series, we watch them clash, struggle, and eventually learn to work together. By the finale, it feels like they finally found balance. But that's exactly when the show pulls the rug out, because there was never just two. Throughout the series, there are subtle moments where neither Mark nor Stephen are in control. Sudden blackouts, brutal fights that neither of them remember, enemies taken out with a level of violence that feels different. At first, it seems like a stylistic choice, until the final reveal confirms the truth. There's a third identity, Jake Lockley. And unlike Mark or Stephen, Jake isn't conflicted. He's not hesitant. He's efficient, ruthless, and completely loyal to Khonshu. In the post-credits scene, while Mark and Stephen believe they've finally freed themselves from Khonshu's control, Jake is still very much active, still serving as the god's avatar, meaning Khonshu never actually lost. That's the real twist. Mark didn't escape, Stephen didn't win, they were simply kept in the dark. Jake represents something far more dangerous, a version of Moon Knight with no moral hesitation, no internal conflict, and no limits. And the fact that he's operating without Mark and Stephen's knowledge makes him even more unpredictable. This clearly sets up a darker continuation, a story where control becomes the central conflict again, but this time, the enemy is within. But years later, there's still no season 2. Oscar Isaac even mentioned he doesn't want to be part of the MCU anymore. And that's what makes this twist so frustrating, because one of the most complex and potentially dangerous characters in the MCU is still out there, and we still haven't seen what happens when Jake Lockley takes full control. That's 8 minutes. Thank you for watching. Like the video, and don't forget to subscribe for more flops.